It's my YouTube channel's 3rd anniversary. Hi everybody, Bloodmoon Bobby here, and yes, you heard right, it is the 3rd anniversary of my channel being rebranded as Bloodmoon Bobby. Now, technically speaking, this YouTube channel started back in 2014, back when it was a YouTube channel known as Kumite World, and it was a YouTube channel, it was also a website at one point, where I posted about current events news. I think technically the very first video I uploaded here was some kind of photo slideshow. But the first news video I did here on this channel was a really crappy video on the Microsoft, I think it was the Microsoft Surface Pro 3, which I'll show you right now, just to warn you the audio sucks, but enjoy what you can. Here's a little snippet of that video. Only about 6 months after releasing their last flagship tablet, Microsoft has announced the Surface Pro 3. And this time they're focusing on making it thinner and also putting a computer in a tablet-sized device. This new tablet touts a 9.1mm thin body, a new larger 12-inch screen with a 2160 by 1440 resolution, and a slew of new processors ranging from Intel Core i3, Core i5. Yeah, so I would post videos on and off with my friends Steven and Gabby. We've been making videos even back then, and we would post about random news topics like Brexit. We would also do things like trailer reactions and movie reviews. It wasn't until they introduced me to Star Wars The Force of Evil. They first showed me the series back in 2016. I didn't get to watch it when it first came out. I was like, what is this? And then they introduced me and I was like, oh my god, where has the show been all my life? And for Anime Expo 2017, I asked my sister Penny if she could try her hand at designing a cosplay and create one based on Blood Moon Marco. And I was really delighted with how it turned out. And when we got to Anime Expo, I remember, everybody, was really impressed with it and they wanted to check it out. And it got me thinking, maybe it's about time I refocus my YouTube channel more on the topics that I want to talk about under a name that I would much enjoy, and it would also be, frankly, easier for more people to pronounce, and that's why I decided to rebrand the YouTube channel as Blood Moon Bobby on August 11th, 2017. And I'm really glad with how it's been going for the last 3 years. I'm really genuinely surprised about how much of a really friendly following I've had. I really I really thank you all, to my viewers and subscribers, and to all the people that have helped me create content for this YouTube channel. From Penny for designing the logo of this channel, to Steven and Gabby, and the guests that we've had here on this channel to discuss topics. And we've come in and we've definitely created something really special. And I say we because I feel really motivated that, with these videos, that I get to see a lot of support both from people I know in real life and on the internet, and that's what helped this channel grow. For this year's anniversary video, I wanted to do a video talking about the lessons I've learned from doing YouTube consistently for the past 3 years. I know I've been posting videos here and there until 2014, but I wasn't really doing it consistently until I changed the name from Kumite World to Blood Moon Bobby. I wouldn't consider this a video to watch if you're looking to grow, if you're trying to figure out how to create a YouTube channel that has like a massive following, like 100,000, 200,000 subscribers. This is more so a video on like the lessons I learned over the past 3 years in terms of what's helped me to create better content for this YouTube channel. I'll start off with the first one, and that is talk about something you're passionate about. Don't just make videos on the things you hate. And when I say this, I mean that I don't exactly encourage people to, if they start making a YouTube channel where they talk about news topics of really any industry, whether it be like the camera industry, tech industry, car industry, gaming, or animation. I don't support. I don't think it's a really good idea to do to start off just by talking about the topics you're most critical of and just turning your YouTube channel into a bad news YouTube channel, because I think that's what honestly breeds a lot of cynicism within like the YouTube channels that I see on this website. And it just makes it all the less enjoyable. And yes, bad news happens in various industries, regardless where you are. And I think it is healthy to talk about them. But I think it helps to have more of a balance rather than just talking about the things you're more critical of. So, like going back to one of those examples, gaming, if you were to start up a Nintendo YouTube channel, I think it's fair to create one talking about like their business practices and getting critical about things, like talking about the things that Nintendo slips up from here and there. But at the same time, if you run such a channel, don't be afraid to stream the games you like once in a while. Stream Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Super Mario Odyssey or Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think if you're starting a YouTube channel, I think it's a really healthy idea to not just talk about the topics you're most critical of, because I think that's what everybody does when they go on social media. They want to, come and be right about things and just, come and vent about the things that really make them angry, but also show that you could have fun with those same topics as well. Like maybe even show a more playful, fun, and positive side to yourself, and not just show that everything is dark and dreary and bleh. So I think it helps to have much more of a balance. And the second thing I wanted to talk about was I don't think you should use your equipment as an excuse not to get started with your videos. What do I mean when I say that? I think it's really great when a lot of, especially photography YouTubers, which frankly I really can't stand photography YouTube nowadays because it's one of the most snarky and cynical communities I've seen on YouTube. But anyway, I think it's really great when they do talk about all these new kinds of really amazing cameras, things like the Panasonic GH5 or the Nikon Z6, and that's all well and good. I've heard they're really great cameras. I'm personally trying to save up for a Z6 myself. But what I hope it's not scaring a lot of up-and-coming YouTubers into thinking is, oh man, in order to really, really stand out, I need to save up thousands and thousands of dollars for all this equipment this YouTuber has. That's the only way to do it. And I say that's unnecessary because I still think you can start off by creating really good videos with either, you could even start off creating great YouTube videos with things like, your iPhone, just using the front-facing camera. Or if you do want to spend the money to get something like a mirrorless camera or a DSLR, you don't necessarily have to spend like $2,000 just to get started, or especially if you're strapped for cash. I'll have a link down below in the description to a video from DSLR Video Shooter where he shows off numerous affordable but still really, really great mirrorless cameras. He's also got a Canon DSLR thrown in there that you can check out. I think it's a really good place to start. And the third thing I wanted to say is finding a style that works for you is going to take experience. What do I mean by that? I mean things like the way you talk to your viewers, I think, can take a lot of experience. When I first started out, I noticed when I go back and look at my older videos, from the way I speak to how I titled my videos back then, I noticed I was very cynical, and if I was talking about like a topic I was very critical of, I used to get really angry. I almost went down the route of a bad news channel myself, and I would get really angry and say things like, what the fuck are they thinking, and just shit like that. And I remember going up to my sister one day and saying, oh, I feel like I'm getting beaten up in the comments. Not that you should just bow down your comment section, but I really didn't quite get why people were very divisive about my videos. But I think part of it was because of my presentation and even the way I titled some of my videos. So my sister recommended that I go more so in a direction, and she also really doesn't like how snarky and cynical some YouTubers can get. So she recommended I go in a direction where I more respectfully explain my viewpoints. Not that I should just make videos about all the good news and stuff like that and go the other extreme, stream where I talk about nothing but the good news, but have a more respectful point of view using things like more I statements when I explain how I feel about something. So instead of saying things like, I hate this episode of the TV show because this, and this, and you should believe me, it became more of if I don't like this episode, and here's what I didn't like, and here's what I think that it could have done better. And ever since then, I think it's helped move my channel into more of a positive direction. And it's made me more careful of the way I title my videos. When I go back and look at some of my older videos, I'm like, geez, that kind of comes off as a bit overly sensationalist, don't you think? I think I was able to get away from that within like the first couple of years of doing YouTube videos. I'm still glad that I had the learning experience, but I think finding a voice that works for you in terms of finding one where you're comfortable with the way you speak, and even just like becoming less associated with the YouTubers you watch and becoming more of a voice that you could call, and going more toward a voice that you're more comfortable using, and it becomes a style that's closer to you, I think I think it's something that really takes time, but it's worth the experience of finding a voice that works best for you. The fourth thing I will suggest is don't overextend yourself. Meaning, I don't think it's a really wise idea to just overextend yourself in talking about all sorts of different topics. And hey, it's cool if you have multiple interests. Like for me, I'm a person that's really interested in animation, movies, cars, and technology. And I also like to watch cooking videos on YouTube. So I think it's perfectly human to have multiple interests, but I think it really helps to narrow down and really find topics that you could more easily talk about on YouTube. Like narrow it down to a few subjects, because within them you could find a lot of things to talk about. I remember when I first started, even before YouTube, I was writing news stories on my own website called Kumite World, and it covered a whole range of topics, things like politics, education, movies, and science, and food. I might have said food twice, but you get the point. And so when I decided to rebrand the YouTube channel as Blood Moon Bobby, that was where I said, okay, I really should narrow it down. Maybe talk more about just animation, films, and technology. And even then, that was still a lot to juggle with, and I'm not even sure. I know that back when I did camera videos, they used to get really popular, but they were really divisive videos, to say the least. One of my most hated videos ever was when I trashed the Nikon. I think it was the D3500, and just, yeah, not fun. That's still one of my least favorite videos. And it was there that I realized, maybe even though I'm still really fond of tech, I still follow camera releases, and I still follow Apple events. It's just that I do that more privately now. Maybe it's better to stick with topics that are more tangible to me. Like for tech videos, they're not exactly tangible because I'm not the kind of YouTuber that's able to get early access to like the Google Pixel 4a or the iPhone SE. I'm not in a position where I could just call up Google and say, "Hey Google, can you send me a Google Pixel 4a for me to review?" Okay, thanks, bye. So I decided to focus more on animation, films, and gaming because I have much easier access. Like right now, I'm currently reviewing Infinity Train, the second season, because the third season is going to be coming out later this week. And I have much easier access to that because I have an HBO Max subscription, and I could finish the second season, which, by the way, I'm currently on the 6th episode. I'm trying to get to the 10th, hopefully. By the end of the day, this video goes up. And of course, video games, me and my sis buy a lot of Nintendo Switch games. We watch the Nintendo Directs and so forth. So I've become much more comfortable with this idea of, okay, I really narrowed myself down to the topics that I talk about the best. Not that you can't have multiple interests. Like I said, I personally still like to follow the Apple events. I'm definitely excited. I'm very interested in seeing what's it going to be like when Apple goes from transitioning their Macs from Intel processors to their custom silicon. It's just that when it comes to videos, I think it's really best to focus on topics that are more tangible to you. Can you get access to this? Like if you're a you're going to be reviewing animated shows? Do you have access to them? Do you have like a couple subscriptions to streaming services that you use? So I think that's really crucial when it comes to running a good YouTube channel, is really finding topics that you're not only interested in, but are also really tangible, like something that you can really get access to and discuss. The fifth thing I've learned is learning new skills can be frustrating. I'll just up and say that it can be really frustrating to learn new skills, but the experience is worth it, especially I think in time. If you're really dedicated to learning this new skill, you'll get it eventually. And I've learned so many different skills in terms of like editing, even some like graphic design skills and audio editing and video editing over the years on this YouTube channel. Part of it comes from my experience doing video editing in college. Part of it is my sister would teach me how to design some things. But I know from personal experience that for me, learning some skills like color grading, audio editing, and using the pen tool in Photoshop were really frustrating things. Like those were the kind of things that would get so frustrating to me that it made me want to rage quit, and it just reminded me of my days in like middle and high school, where my classmates would laugh at me when I would do something really clumsy in class. But in terms of like audio editing, that definitely took a while for me to learn. The way I got better at editing audio, making it sound audible, it was mainly from my friend Steven. He said that whenever he would rewatch, like if he did a group video together with our friend Gabby, he would point out, "Hey, I really can't hear the audio sometimes. Do you think you could fix that?" And it was because I it was because is at the time I had my audio settings adjusted to sound like I thought it was sounding, much better than it should, but it actually turns out it was still sounding really quiet when I went to go back and watch my older videos. So in that particular case, it was just a matter of watching some YouTube tutorials to learn how to get it sounding much better, and I hope it sounds much better in this video. I certainly think this video sounds much better than that Microsoft Surface clip that I showed you at the beginning of this video. But these are the kind of things that I think it's just a matter of, it just takes a lot of time and practice to learn. As with pretty much anything involving making YouTube channels and growing a video, much of it comes through experience. And that's why I said earlier in the video that when choosing a new camera, that's not going to be the ultimate solution. Like getting a new camera, it will definitely improve the image quality of your videos. Like I'm using a camera that I've gotten back in January, and I really like the shallow depth of field, and I think the video quality looks better than the previous couple Nikons I've had. But something a new camera or a new microphone or even a light kit isn't going to teach you is things like I mentioned before, finding your own voice, or even getting better at practicing certain editing tools, like how do you make louder audio, or how do you do color grading. I mean, color grading in itself, I think, because even though color grading, learning how to do it in Premiere Pro and Final Cut, I think it is like understandable. That's something that you really need to be able to learn how to shoot a good video in camera in terms of the lighting in order to practice. So those are the kind of things where the only solution on how to get better is just to practice. Whether it be watching multiple tutorials on YouTube or asking a friend to help you out. So learning new skills, it can be really frustrating. I know from my personal experience, it got me pretty close to rage quitting at times, but when you do master them, it's definitely worth it. I know these skills that I've mentioned previously, audio editing and color grading, those are skills that I think I wouldn't call myself a master by any means, but I definitely think I've gotten so much better at them compared to when I first tried to learn them. The sixth thing I've learned over the years is your audience can be a good judge of your content. And what I've learned is that in my early days, I did do some videos on camera, like I would do trailer reactions on camera. In fact, the very first video I did as Blood Moon Bobby was when I did a trailer reaction with Gabby for Star Wars The Last Jedi. But apart from that, a lot of my videos in the early days were basically just I would just have like a picture of the topic and some facts put on the side, like right next to it, like it was a PowerPoint presentation or something. And I think part of the reason why it hurt a lot of my early videos is because my speaking style, it's not really the kind of thing where I could really do videos like that. If I did a much more scripted style where I just read a script down to the letter, then maybe I could have pulled it off. But I noticed in those early days, especially since back then I wasn't cutting out parts where I said things like or or so yeah and stuff like that. So I think that explained why a lot of my earlier videos had rather divisive like to dislike ratios. And that was the kind of thing, even though my camera videos used to do pretty well for my channel, they weren't exactly the most loved. And I think a huge part of it was because I didn't really edit out the parts where I stuttered or said yeah or so yeah and things like that. So I had to adjust. I decided, okay, I'm going to buy a monitor for my camera so that I could see myself when I film my videos, and also I'll take some time to edit out parts where I like touch my face and ace or say things like or so. Like I remember I rewatched part of my Close Enough trailer reaction from 2017, which came out right before my YouTube channel was rebranded. I noticed in that video I was like doing like really lazy things. Like I remember like picking my teeth at one point in the video. If I did that today, I would have just cut that part out, obviously. But it's the kind of thing that you detect and practice when you go back and watch your older videos, I suppose. And I noticed over the years that my audience started to get a lot more friendlier, which brings me to my seventh point, and that is the way you speak. I personally think can affect the kind of audience you have. Now, yes, I do think that trolls are an inevitable part to really any YouTube channel. There's no getting around them. In my case, they don't usually come to my videos. It's more of a thing where every once in a while I'll get like a nasty comment or a comment where somebody says first video and little stuff like that. But when I say the way you speak can affect your audience, I think it does to a certain degree. Like I'll compare two YouTube channels. There's one YouTuber who actually inspired me to rebrand my channel and do videos more consistently, but he has a very confrontational way of speaking. Like he's the kind of person who would say things like, oh come on, or what the fuck are they thinking, and just get really like confrontational and angry in his videos. At times he does kind of turn into a bad news channel here and there, and he has a rather interesting following, to say the least. And he said that he's had the kind of following where it can get really heated at times, especially if he's talking about a controversial subject. And some of his trolls have gone way like too far, without getting specific about what has happened to him. But it was the kind of thing where he has a really brash and at times venomous comment section. Whereas in the case of this other channel I watch, this is more of an educational channel that teaches about the different countries of the world. I see a much more of a friendly community that's more focused on the content of this person's videos. Like this is the kind of comment section where you see people will say things like, "Oh, I love this country," or they'll leave like suggestions, or they'll leave suggestions if the guys if they'll leave suggestions if the person makes a mistake here and there, but it's more constructive criticism. It's not the kind of thing where people are like, "Hey, you need to do your research. You should be ashamed of yourself," and that kind of stuff. And the person who hosts that channel can get goofy at times, but mostly just sticks to talking about educating people about different countries in a objective, mature, and really a laid back kind of way. And I personally like a YouTuber that can do that. I think to a degree your presentation style can have an effect on the kind of audience you have. Again, it's not that you should just bow down to everything that your audience wants per se. It's more of a balance, take suggestions from them, And this leads me into the next point that I'll talk about, and that is don't let trolls personally affect you. And I'm talking about the ones who say things like, I mean, I've had people who will say things like, oh, you didn't do enough research, or just get really angry about my viewpoint on a topic. Yeah, it's not fun. It gets to a point for me sometimes where it really takes me out of making videos, and it makes me really nervous. And the next time I post videos, I'll admit I do get pretty shaken up. I do sometimes. I'll like peek at my comment section to see, is there gonna be angry people this time? Again, if they leave like suggestions, like something I personally learned is, if they leave like a suggestion like, hey, you should have, looked into this article more, or I think it does help in the sense that you've gotten more information that maybe you could use for your next video. But at the same time, don't take it personally. Don't take it as, you thinking that, you can't learn a lesson, or that you're a failure. As long as, you're continuing to learn and you acknowledge your mistake, then I think you've learned a lesson. Should those kind of people get really aggressive and say things like, you need to do more research and stuff like that, no, I don't think that's necessary. So I think that as long as you're continuing to make content and you learn from your mistakes, that's all that matters. There's no need to beat yourself up. And the last thing I'll talk about is get your friends and family to help you, which I know is kind of a weird thing to suggest now because of the coronavirus and how we're not really interacting with each other these days. But something I've learned over the last few years, and especially recently when it comes to making videos, is to get more comfortable with asking for help. Like, I'll admit in my early days, I was really nervous about asking for help because I was worried if that meant that I was not a competent enough YouTuber. But it's also part of the learning process, and delegating tasks also makes it easier to run your channel and to do more things than you can do on your own. So nowadays, for me, what I'll often do is I'll ask my sister Penny to do drawings. Like when I do my Owl House review, she now does the drawings of the different characters, so she'll email me some drawings that I could use in my videos. Or you could have your friends co-host your videos. Like in my case, I sometimes have friends come on over through the internet and we'll review movies like 1917 or Parasite over Zoom or Facebook video calling. I definitely think asking for help is a really healthy thing. It's a great way to build your videos and learn new skills. In my case, over the years, Penny has taught me how to do my own designs. I'm nowhere near as good as her when it comes to designing like characters or fan drawings in Photoshop or in Illustrator, but she's taught me pretty well, and I'm really happy about that. Those are the 9 things that I've learned over the years when it comes to making YouTube videos. I think it's definitely a really productive experience, and I've learned a lot of lessons, and it's been good fun. I'm genuinely surprised about how well my channel has been going so far, and I'm excited to continue to produce content. So to all my viewers, subscribers, the people who have helped me in person, like Penny, Steven, and Gabby, and others that have helped co-hosted my videos over the years, thank you very much. It really helps. I'm really glad with how the channel has been going, and I hope things get even better going into the future. So until next time, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thank you all for watching. Hi everyone, thanks for watching this Blood Moon Bobby video. Like and share the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos, and ring the bell to be notified about my latest uploads. Don't forget to follow me on social media for my latest opinions and video updates. I hope to see you next time.